Most exercises that we do in gym are forward to back in the sagittal plane. What are the benefits of training side to side or rotation?
I'm just going to speak for myself, obviously, but I used to have, even from my early 20s, lower back pain, and I knew it had something to do with my lifting because, I was doing, as I said, a lot of squats, deadlifting, cleans, all of those things, if you kind of look at them, they tend to be dominant in the sagittal plane. I did all the sit-ups and the leg raises and the back extensions that are supposed to help stabilize the lower back. But my lower back, honestly, I don't know, maybe other people are different, but my lower back never really got better. In fact, I would say some of those exercises that were prescribed or recommended in some ways aggravated my back issues. And so if you imagine the four walls of a box, having the front and the back facing walls, they're nice and strong. It's nice dry cardboard, but having the sides of my box slightly moist, like wet cardboard. So if you put something in a box with two strong sides and two mushy, soggy sides, that thing is just going to go it's going to go spilling out the sides. To me, the obliques, the glute medius, glute minimus muscle, the TFL muscles, you don't even have to know that. I don't care about the names of these muscles. Anything that is on the left, if you imagine your body being a knife blade or a sword for that matter, so anything that's on the blade of the body, that to me, having that strong is more important than having pecs, lats, abs, quads. By the way, the blade of the body also includes any muscle that would adduct the shoulder or adduct the thigh. So inner thigh musculature. A lot of the lats, what is this called? The iron cross. That's like the king. That is what I also considered obviously it's a very, very obvious frontal plane movement. But it's basically to strengthen the sides of the box that are largely ignored by almost all, I shouldn't say, but most people are very strong in the sagittal plane. So that means if you're in a hallway that's just a little wider than your shoulders, if you don't include the bulk of the training equipment, almost all people's training could occur in that hallway. Or the stress factors would all fit within the hallway. But that's why I like to hold barbells like a big shovel with just a few weight plates out to the side and see if I can deadlift like that and keep that bar both level with or parallel with the floor and not let it push my hand into my thigh. Those kind of lifts, to me, I'd rather be able to do, 80 pounds in that lift than 300 pounds in a regular deadlift.
For a beginner that's never seen any oblique exercises, what are your go-to movements for strengthening those side core muscles?
Probably for loading heavy, it would be any kind of a suitcase deadlift. Doesn't matter whether it's a barbell, kettlebell, dumbbell. And a lot of people ask me, why do you have your hand on top of your head when you're holding the weight in your other arm? This just opens and exposes. This keeps me honest because if people just have their arm at their side, and if I'm holding a heavy weight in my right hand, oftentimes if this arm is just left dangling, what people will end up doing is leaning to get that weight. At some point, either usually at the top or they're having trouble, they'll start to lean. If this hand is up here, number one, it's going to prevent you from lifting more weight than you should on that side, because a lot of people that think they can suitcase deadlift 200 pounds with their arm at their side, as soon as you put that hand up here, then they feel like they're stuck because they can't kind of do a few compensatory movements. So this is number one, it's a governor switch against you loading too heavily off to one side. And as you're lifting, it just feels kind of, you'll know that you're leaning. It's number one, it's going to be very hard to lean because this lengthens the lever of everything underneath from the armpit down. The length of everything now is fully exposed. Whereas here, you know, I can even fire my lat in a way that will reinforce me on this side. I also like what's called an orbit exercise. You can do it with a dumbbell, kettlebell, or even a weight plate with handles. And it's not a halo. Because people say, oh, yeah, I like that. A halo is, you know, I was taught halos when I was certifying with the RKC in 2007. It's taking a weight and just kind of like, it's considered a shoulder mobility exercise. So an orbit, like, you know, when you look at planets orbiting the sun or the moon orbiting the earth, it doesn't orbit the earth up here. It orbits around more of the circumference of the planet. So That's why I tell people when they're doing an orbit, the way I would like them to, all parts of whatever weight you're using must stay below the top of your head. Because as soon as I challenge them to try to keep, so that thing cannot poke above their head, that forces them now to have to maneuver their rib cage. If the rib cage is moving, well, the obliques and the abs are attached to that rib cage. So that's what we're getting. We want the rib cage like a joystick on a video game. I want a circumductive challenge to the rib cage, the way, like if there were muscles on the joystick of a video game, those muscles would be getting a similar challenge.
That's a great exercise cue because it gives people an external focus. They don't have to think, oh, am I activating my obliques by bending this way? No, by doing the orbit core exercise, you're getting that full range of motion of the spine articulating around. And of course, as you said, fully activating those obliques and other core muscles.
And my oblique training was more by accident, if I'm being honest. Shout out to Dolph Lundgren. When I saw Rocky IV, where he played the Ivan Drago, both him and Stallone, I don't know what kind of program those two were on, but in that movie, every time they were throwing punches, all I saw were these oblique muscles going, just like, I'd seen obliques before, but to see how when these guys would throw those punches, those slow motion of Drago just hitting Rocky, all I saw were these oblique muscles. You could literally see how it would just close up that rib cage and generate all that torque. That's when I kind of started wanting to get more into obliques and all that.